as the development life cycle has evolved and the speed to market became one of the most highest priority, and the skill and the technological adeptness in the market space has also been limited from the resource standpoint, we had to go ahead and extend a lot of our test automation towards the same strategy. And since resource skill set is also a challenge, extending and scaling the test automation has been a challenge. So an enterprise organization like us and several other organizations in the industry, we were looking to come up with a smart solution, which also is a low code and a no code, and also has AI capabilities that can learn and help us not only drive the test automation and also the scalability, but also limit the maintenance effort. So Functionize has been one of our top preference with respect to other competitors in the market space, but the journey has been incredible, and we could really reap the benefits in the very first year, and we are here with Functionize. At GE Healthcare, we have roughly and close to about 3,000 to 5,000 content pages, and we've been migrating from older technologies to Sitecore to, as I was mentioned, from monolith to Sitecore to AEM, which is leveraging Adobe Exchange Manager. So testing all those pages across regions isn't easy. And that is a perfect use case for us to kind of bring in Functionize. And when we brought in Functionize, our use case was to make sure the GUI is tested, and the component-based test automation is very key. And the part of the reason why, because AEM gives the flexibility for the products and for marketing and the region team to go ahead and deploy and make the change using the publish and other mechanism. So test automation is very much necessary at that point in time, and we couldn't leverage any of the open source solutions. And open source solution, that is the limitation, because they are object dependent, and maintaining the objects is pretty complex, and they are DOM heavy, and they're single DOM object. So that's where Functionize really we brought in, and the legacy is like we started extending Functionize to some of our functional components, and we started converting a lot of our existing manual engineers to automation team, and that's how we are able to reap the benefits ASAP. When we started with Functionize, our Sanity portfolio, even with the open source solutions like BDD SpecFlow and Java TestNG, was very limited. And the return of investment in terms of the time to execute was longer. And the manual team the verification team would complain, saying that, hey, we could do it manually. Why do we need automation in place, right? And not only that, right, the open source solutions, you can create a test on your standalone desktop, but again, you need a platform to simulate and execute those tests. Create either you procure internal VMs, or you go to and create a Selenium grid, or you again participate or partner with other tools like BrowserStack, Sauce Labs. There are several other tools in the marketplace, but that challenge is always there. You will not be able to scale your execution in parallel, right? So that was also one of the biggest use case having Functionize, because Functionize is a SaaS solution, which makes it much beneficial and easy for us to go from 0 to scale it up to right now we are at 50 parallels. Now, the sanity part, as I was talking about, sanity testing was key. And sanity testing was like, as soon as the code gets deployed, our release management and the delivery management is expecting us to let everybody, the verification team, the validators, the business, the UX, and the project team, to let them know, hey, here you go, we can start the testing. So sanity was very key. Now, the second thing was we were always, with the open source framework, most of the automation is N-1, which is the backlog, right? But the application is a live application, and we have changes coming in every release, and there is always that delta that gets added to your backlog. Now, when the delta gets added to your backlog, you are always you're always chasing a train that has already left the station, right? And you always have more work that is getting added as part of your in-release deliverables. So in-release test automation was also key, because a lot of the times the timelines are so limited and they are very critical in the path. So we have to make sure that there is a substantial amount of in-release automation so that our test automation is current, right? Now, the regression, we were able to automate in no time. The in-release automation was happening as we are looking at it. We have multiple parallels, and it's a SaaS solution, so less infrastructure on our end to manage, easy to use and leverage by all the teams. So our whole portfolio was, whatever I've just spoken is shift left, right? Now we have shift right, which is predominantly what you're testing and what you're making sure the production environment is also qualitative and defect free. So we started automating some of the production scenarios, and not just by not submitting any workflows, which was predominantly very useful, because most of our production testing used to happen across all the teams roughly about 6 to 8 hours. Sometimes the team would spend a day. We were able to cut down all that across all the projects running in parallel to 20 to 30 minutes, and that's a huge win for us. Imagine a comparison of 5 people contributing to 2 projects versus 50 people contributing to 15 projects, right? So the main objective also was to choose Functionize. Is we were looking for a low code and a no code based test automation tool, wherein we can train our entire test organization and convert most of the manual resources into automation resources. And we were able to successfully do that across 80% of our resource bandwidth. And the reason why we weren't able to for the rest of the 20% was because they were heavily involved in a lot of verification plans. They were heavily involved in a lot of coordination. They were doing more than a team test engineer deliverable, which did not let them do it. But again, we did extend the licenses to them to do the execution and make sure that they're part of the same journey, right? That was one of the key. And the ROI is 2 versus 15 projects. And the rate at which we were able to automate with Functionize, with open source solutions, I'm talking a medium complex test case, and medium complex test case is anywhere between less than 10 to 15 steps, if you look at a test case, right? And a high or a complex is roughly between 15 to 50. Now we have some workflows that are 150 steps, and usually if within an open source solution, you're looking roughly about anywhere between 3 days or 2 days to automate. And our systems are not super easy. We have connectivity with third party, we have connectivity with APIs, and then you're again feedbacking some of the submissions back to the another page, and you're again navigating between the pages. Then you have your iframes in between. It's not easy to automate all of that with open source frameworks. And the shelf life is so limited and small, they would break when you regress it over time. But with Functionize, we were able to automate the 150 steps in less than a day, along with making sure that it is deploy ready, right? Because it's a SaaS solution. And there is a story that I would like to mention, is that we were able to automate medium level test cases, roughly about 240 test cases in less than 2.5 days for one of the products. So that is the ROI that I'm looking at, right? Now, the AI capabilities, as you were asking me, AI capabilities are people think AI means like humanoid. They do not understand that the way you instruct and the way you augment, that is how the model will work. And the model is trained on the set of data which is historical. The model does not intuitively adapt for the newer set of data. It needs to go through that process of data cleaning and go through the exploratory data analysis and then get trained, so that whenever such new scenario happens, then it can adapt. So the AI capabilities, and that's exactly what I coach my team, is you need to understand the model as a human, right? We had a UX enhancement wherein one of the sign-in button the persona, they changed, the user experience team moved one of the sign-in capability under a breadcrumb as a persona. And it was pretty easy lift and land for the development team. Now imagine if I were to leverage the open source frameworks, I have to go back and change my object hierarchy, because whichever tool you're using, open source, right, it is single DOM object dependent. So, and when it's a single DOM object dependent, there is a hierarchy to the DOM object. So when you are referring to that particular object property which changed its position, you have to update your code. Then you have to review the code. Then you have to create a pull request. Then you have to commit the pull request. Then you have to make sure that it is tagged along with that release change. And then make sure that it is part of the CI/CD pipeline. All 11 yards versus with Functionize, the beauty is it just prompts you, hey, I see a positional change in an architect mode during the execution. Do you want me to apply? Yes, it is a little manual because you have to babysit whenever that change happens, but at least for me, all the 11 steps that I explained in terms of the effort is zero. So I just click yes, and automatically the script adapts and it verifies if there is a sign-in in the breadcrumb and it moves on. When we showed that, that is something that people felt. But I always say this, change is the only constant, and people don't realize that. It is the only constant and it is inevitable. So one should understand where the technology is moving on. It is very difficult for enterprise and larger organizations to understand that. They always believe in cooking something in-house. Yes, you could. I am a chef at my own home, but I'm not a chef at a restaurant, right? It's as simple as it is. You need to understand that fact. Why are startups able to leverage some of these technologies? And why are they able to pivot from within a year? I always say this, right? Again, you can hire someone who is 10 years experience, has been doing the same thing for 10 years. Or you can hire someone who is a 1 year experience, has done 10 different things, all right? Now, it's the same thing with the testing and the test automation as well. And the test automation has been evolving over time. And the only message that I would pass on to someone who is scared of the change, who is worried that, hey, I will have a dependency with this organization, I say one simple thing is, guys, if you don't make the decision, the testing as an organization will suffer. The reason is that we will not be able to be on par with the engineering organization. We will not be able to really run fast and deliver fast. It's all about fail fast, fail first, and learn, right? So you could build something in-house, but it might be so long by the time you deliver that solution for your organization. So testing was always very integral part of your entire SDLC, your software development lifecycle, right? The way testing is evolving and the way I see the vision forward is testing is slowly, previously the roles were more like tester, software quality, software testing, and now they're slowly pivoting under engineering. So product is going to be, why I bring the product into the conversation is, product and the technical product management is going to be a big thing. The reason behind is they are the ones who are talking to the stakeholders. They are the ones who are listening and understanding how much is going to be funded. And they know and they understand the need of the end user and the customer. So where I'm going is that they know the dollar that they want to spend for the dollar return they want to get, right? So testing eventually is, right now it is being treated under engineering, but I see even the engineering slowly positioning under the product organization. And the reason behind is that it is very simple, right? User experience, better behavior, quality output, faster development. All of this is driven by, if you are not able to meet to the need of the product, and if you are not able to deliver exactly how the end user requested and wanted, the product is not going to yield any mileage. So the way I see is that testing as an organization is pivoting slowly from its own portfolio to engineering, and from engineering to the product organization. And test automation again, right? So test automation we call now SDET, software developer engineering test. So all these role changes are happening, and more weightage is on making sure that the test automation is more agile, and tools like Functionize, which is helping with low code, no code, and AI capabilities, right? It's just not me and what the industry is going to be. I think product is going to be, the product organization is going to play a critical and key role because tools like Functionize is going to flourish this industry and going to take over a lot of the legacy, traditional, unorthodox way of testing. So that's where I see the vision for testing and test automation. One of the favorite feature of Functionize is the self-healing capability, which is pretty great. That I can definitely understand, and most of our team believe and they experience that self-healing capability. To maintenance, right? The architect mode, that is so helpful for us, because maintenance is roughly about 50 to 55% across any open source solution. The least could be around 40-45%, I would say, right? So with Functionize, the maintenance is barely about 10 to 15%, very limited. And it depends again how you are able to augment your test automation framework within Functionize. Functionize is, even though it's a low code and a no code, it gives you a flexibility to, it's language agnostic again, right? So you can use JavaScripting or a Groovy scripting to customize your code. So that's, the maintenance is very, very negligible in the big picture. And the third thing that I also kind of enjoy, and most of my team members also enjoy, is the SaaS solution, right? That's a huge benefit, because I don't need to include my platform team to create VMs, maintain those VMs, make sure that those VMs are vulnerable free and all that stuff. So SaaS platform is incredible, because you just go like as if you're accessing your bank application, go on the browser, log in. And the third and the fourth thing that I always also kind of admire is the security. You guys are 3PHP, SOX compliant, and you guys have SSO integration as well, and email integration. So that will be my fourth. And the fifth is the support, the human in the loop, right? So when I have a need, I just send an email to support@functionize.com and immediately get a notification with the request ID, and then there is a person who is following up with me on the ticket and giving me all the documentation, what needs to be done. And the moment you guys have done a lot of out-of-the-box solutions for us. So all in all, I think these are some of the greatest, top of my head, if I really have to appreciate from the benefit standpoint, these are my top 5 things.